10 of the Feast for the Soul. My name's Sarah McLean, and I am the director of the Feast for the Soul, which is a 40-day spiritual practice period made available for people to come together and practice together to deepen and commit to or recommit to their spiritual practice. Whether you're painting, dancing, laughing, writing poetry, going for a walk, or chanting, you can observe the Feast for the Soul. Because of the silver linings of the pandemic, we are so lucky to be able to be together this way, virtually, which we've never really done before. And so we're on day 10 of 40 days. But if this is your day one, you are on perfect time. This is the perfect time to get together. I'm really excited today to introduce someone that I met, over 15 years ago. I was amazed by this woman. She lived in Sedona and still does, while I did. And she was outside in her Tibetan Buddhist nun robes, which I'll let her talk to you about. And she was painting the most beautiful paintings. And they were done point by point, Pointillism. And each point was very deliberate, very mindful. I'll let her tell you a little bit more about that and maybe her retirement out of the Tibetan Buddhist nunnery world and into the world of teaching. And so Shey Khandro, we know her as Shey, teaches by how she is, who she is, how she lives, and through her painting and her writing, and of course, her guidance and meditation. She's a teacher who lives in Sedona, Arizona, and I call her a friend. And I'd love to have you say hello, and I'll let you take it away, Shey.
Awesome. Thank you so much. I want to welcome everyone here today, and I thank you for having me, and thank you also for being here yourselves, and thank you for your practice. We are really making a difference with this in our own lives and in the lives of those around us. So I applaud your commitment, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here with you. So thank you. Yeah, Sarah pointed to a couple of things that I'll just give you a wee bit of background. I was ordained as a Tibetan Buddhist nun for about 15 years right here in America. And it was an extraordinary experience and definitely an unusual choice for this ordinary white girl to make. But it was a profound experience. And I will talk a little bit about my teacher as we go along. In fact, a part of the theme for today was the best advice that I ever got as an artist. I really found my artist as on my spiritual path. It was as though the development as an artist and my development as a spiritual practitioner, they both happened at the same time. And I like to think of it as a time where I was giving birth to my heart. And from my heart rose this artist, this spiritual practitioner, this ultimately what I like to think of as a spiritual activist, looking to support the movement of awakening in our planet, in our world, in our hearts. But the best advice that I ever received as an artist turned out to actually be a powerful advice as a spiritual practitioner. And of course, the advice had come from my spiritual teacher. So that was sort of a natural arising there. But shortly after I had taken ordination, she and I were having a bit of a chat. Sometimes we had there was a casualness in the relationship, and sometimes there wasn't. We were having a chat, and she was saying that she felt like I was an artist, like a real artist, like a creative, a maker, someone that would, through my imagination would be pulling threads out of the field and weaving them together and, bringing forth something new. And she told me she felt like I could make anything. And of course, as a kid, I had played a lot with creative things. I was always making things and always building or creating, but it was never something that I actually would take, seriously. It was, it was for fun. And now, here early on my spiritual path, my teacher was sort of calling this part of me forward. And I said to her, I said, so if I am an artist, what would I do? And she said to me, just play. And I thought that was the best advice ever. And I didn't fully understand in the moment what she was pointing to. But as an artist and as a spiritual practitioner, I began to understand that there was a deeper message in that invitation. And it was an invitation to presence. It was an invitation to be in a space of no expectations and no judgments. It was just play. In the stillness of that present moment awareness, there is a space for a spontaneous arising, something fresh with possibilities. A childlike wonder is born. And one might think of play as, goofing off, just having fun, sort of a carefree, just expression. And yet I found this simple instruction of just play to be really a powerful teaching about the infinite potential that is present in each moment. And you may find in your own meditation practice, as we invite stillness and as we practice presence, as we continue to learn, our sitting practice is actually laying the foundation for walking our awareness into our day-to-day lives. And a friend of mine was sharing me that Richard Gere is sort of spearheading a movement for off of your cushion and into the world. And that is a big part of why I retired my robes. And it's not that we weren't in the world and we couldn't be in the world, but there was a certain sense of feeling separate. People would either put me up on a pedestal like I had some kind of special thing going on, when, I'm just an ordinary gal trying to, trying to find my way through. Or they might dismiss me as some sort of weirdo, but which either one of those would make me laugh. But it was my wish. It was actually my call. It wasn't a conscious choice. It was something that rose up in my heart. And I was as surprised as anyone to hear my heart say to me, it's time to go. And I had learned from my time in spiritual practice that listening to that call of my heart was an important it was an important thing. And so as much as it was, there were challenging elements of taking that action, I followed through with that and wanted to be in and among, wanted to be shoulder to shoulder with all of us as we support each other on our spiritual path, because we all have things that we can teach each other. And we all have things that we can share from our own experience. And so the whole idea of play just became a very important theme throughout what I was doing. And the fact that this idea of something that might be associated with just sort of silliness and non-productiveness, from a spiritual perspective, opened spaces for me to be available to listen, to my heart, to listen to what might be available in the feed, in the field of our experience, of our existence. And so meditation and my art, they became really woven together. And today, part of what I'd like to do is invite you to bring these things into your life. Artist, maybe artist, maybe you are a writer or a designer or something of that sort, but maybe you have other creative ways. We're constantly in that state of creating with our thoughts, with our intentions, with our attention. And what kind of play, what kind of lightness, what kind of presence can we bring into each of those moments in our life? I think an example I would use, I'll pick up on what Sarah was sharing about the way that I paint, the style of my painting. It's pointillism. And if you're familiar with pointillism, it's all tiny dots of color that are laid down in a field, many different colors in each field. If you look at this painting behind me from a distance, the field of red or green, it looks like it's like maybe a solid color of red, but it has orange and it has violet and it has red violet and red orange. And once all of those colors and the various shades that create the dimension are laid in, I also lay in the complement of that color. So the opposite color on the color wheel. So in the field of green, there would be some red and lighter shades of red, of pink. And so from a distance, it looks one way, and up close, it tells a whole different story, which is a completely other teaching. But the part that I'd like to point to is the dots and the idea that each dot, each moment in time is this intersection of time and space. And we have a choice about what we're going to do with it. And so in my first exposure to pointillism, it hit me like a brick. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm right here in this moment with this single dot. Am I just going to make an ordinary dot? Of course I could. That would be fine. I'm sure there's plenty of ordinary dots being created throughout the world. But what if I could put an intention behind that dot? That single moment in time could be a prayer, a wish for an end of suffering, a wish for the creation of a more peaceful and compassionate world. And from that point on, I was in love with that technique. And these paintings many of the early paintings were 4x5 feet, 4x4 feet. They were dots from corner to corner. And it just became this practice of presence and offering that was extraordinarily nourishing for me and personally. And people that would engage with the pieces, I'm still convinced that they can feel the presence of that intention. And I believe that it's then carried out into the field and it seeds more and more of the same. And so I would invite you to look in your life and what the things that you engage in and those moments that add up to something extraordinary. And what kind of intention can you put into that is going to resonate out into the field and ripple. I like to say ripple out into the field. So today, what I'd like to do is I'd like us to sit together and we're going to start with, well, actually, let's just do that. Let's just start with coming into this moment. Let us take a deep breath and release whatever tension might be there in our bodies, whatever distractions might be in our mind. All the steps that it took to get us to this place in this moment where we are right now. Bring the qualities of your presence forward. We each are creative. We're creating in every moment. Where can we bring in more play? Maybe we cook, maybe in the kitchen when we're cooking. Maybe it's in the garden. Or maybe you have work that doesn't even feel like it could be called play. Maybe you're an accountant or a lawyer or something that's thought to have a particular kind of linear gravity. Even there, from the presence that we're cultivating, what might arise? And as you think about play, how does that feel in your body? The idea of play brings to mind for me thoughts of joy, freedom. As we relax into our seat, releasing the weight of the world, where can we bring these qualities of presence into our lives? From this space, before we sink any deeper, I'd like to invite you just to lift the corners of your mouth just a little bit, creating a smile. How does that feel? What do you feel? Endorphins are being released into your system. Allow that to fill you up. Be present for that difference. In this space, breathe deeply, right into your center, into your heart, the center of your being. Breathe deep and then let go. Allow yourself to breathe in a natural rhythm. I like to think of it as the rhythm of the divine. From a place of open awareness, feel this union of the divine with the divine. And on your next breath in, feel the union of our breathing together here in the field of love, connected within, connected around. Just breathe. Let your attention just fall right to your heart and right on your breath. Let's just stay here in this aliveness, in this presence, in this moment. with your eyes still closed, let's sit quietly in open awareness. Present to the moment. Grateful for this gift you've given yourself, that you've given to others. Allow this sense of being to fill you, to overflow. As we prepare to carry this sense of being into our day. And I invite you today to think about where there's play in your life and where that play is really presence, a joyful openness to the moment and the infinite possibilities that lie within. And when you're ready, feel free to open your eyes. Thank you so much for being with us. And I think we can end the live stream now and move to any questions.